The story begins 15 years ago, when massive earthquakes suddenly shook the entire world, causing ancient tombs containing S-rank relics to appear. Before long, humanity discovered that these relics granted their users all kinds of insane superhuman abilities, so people around the globe raided several tombs just to get one. Among them was Ju, who found the infamous archaeologist's relic by chance and gained unlimited knowledge about tombs and relics. However, when he tried to plunder another tomb, he discovered that a shady company had already bought the excavation rights to every tomb in the country. At this, Ju went straight to the company's chairman, Taejun, who recognized his talent for excavating tombs and immediately hired him as his lapdog. For the next 15 years, Ju handled all kinds of dirty work for Taejun until the day karma finally caught up with him. During a tomb excavation job, Ju's teammates were murked by a giant snake monster, leaving him as the last line of defense. As it approaches him, Ju gets on the snake's tail and tries to land an aerial strike, but the snake blocks it with its teeth. He then tries again, but this time, the snake slams him into the wall and tries to eat him. Sensing the danger, Ju quickly dodges, then he leaps up, activates his lightsaber technique, and successfully stabs the snake's head, only for his sword to break halfway through the attack. Suddenly, the snake bites his lower body in midair, leaving Ju in a world of hurt. He stabs the snake's eye to force it to let him go, but the snake bites down even harder and slams him to the ground and walls multiple times. Afterward, Ju grabs his broken sword, ready to risk it all, but as the snake charges at him, he accepts his fate. Just then, a voice speaks to his mind, and when Ju opens his eyes, he finds the snake frozen above him, with its mouth wide open. He stares around, confused, but as the voice speaks again, Ju rudely tells it to destroy the snake and rescue him. Hearing this, the voice chuckles and reminds Ju that his legs have already been churned into minced meat, so there's no way he's surviving that. It then continues to remind Ju of his talents and how it'll be a waste for him to just die without achieving his true potential, causing Ju to crash out, cursing at Taejun for sending him on this dangerous mission. Amused, the voice manifests as a crow with a golden aura, then tells Ju it'll give him a second chance to go and claim the throne of the true king with his talents. Following that, it magically regenerates a new pair of legs for Ju and sends him to a police station. Seconds later, Ju wakes to see a new pair of legs and a healthy body, and recoils in shock, wondering how that happened, only to spot several officers staring scornfully at him. Suddenly, the policeman before him reminds him he's being interrogated for bullying the boy sitting beside them, so Ju sits back down and continues to wonder if this is just a dream. After looking at the clock, he sees that it's the year 2025 and begins to wonder if the crazy crow really did send him 15 years back in time or if he's just tripping. Just then, the victim's mother crashes out at him. After taking one look at the boy, Ju immediately remembers the guy to be an inconsolable rage baiter with a Nissan Altima personality. Before long, his enabler mom tries slapping him, but Ju blocks the slap by reflex, shocking everyone, including himself, and gives the useless tramp a piece of her medicine. Seeing this, the rage baiter attacks Ju for insulting his mom, but Ju dodges the attack and slams him to the ground, WE style. Given how light his body feels, Ju suspects that he still has the same combat skills he had in the future, but since he assaulted someone in front of the police, the officers take him to jail. There, Ju concludes that he's indeed been sent 15 years into the past and begins to wonder how to prepare for the impending disaster. While doing so, a status screen appears in his field of view. Seeing this, Ju accuses the crow of playing tricks on him and tries to punch it, but then the system suddenly displays a new quest, telling him to unlock all 4 skills of a Tomb Raider to become a full-fledged one. As Ju examines his latent abilities on the screen, a detective named Jian shows up, bails him out of jail, and walks him home. On the way, Ju asks Jian if there have been any strange incidents lately. When Jian says no, Ju realizes that relic users haven't appeared yet, so he thanks Jian for the help and continues walking alone, thinking about how to make money. Before long, he runs into his mobster boss, along with his gang in an alleyway, who are there to bully him, and recalls just how pathetic he looked in his past life when he worked for them. Just then, one of the mobsters tries to bully him, but Ju sucker punches him on the face and tells Park he's quitting. Amused, Park charges at him, but Ju beats him so badly that the other 3 rush him immediately. Unfazed, Ju calmly dodges all their attacks and punches them so hard they can't even stand. Pissed, Park draws his weapon, which Ju immediately recognizes as a relic knife, but before he attacks, Ju wonders why he even has a relic in the first place. Suddenly, Park charges at him, but Ju stands his ground, ready to beat him and claim the relic for himself. Within seconds of getting attacked, Ju dodges Park's swings and breaks his leg bone. Then he places the relic knife near his throat, shocking the others, and steals it. Afterward, he activates the relic's power, which transforms him into invisible Quicksilver with X-ray vision, and stabs Park's other lackeys in the stomach before they can blink. After that, he leaves for his apartment. Moments later, Park calls his sister and boss, Kyung, to tell her everything Ju just did to them. Initially, Kyung refuses to believe that the Ju she knows turned into Batman overnight. However, the moment she learns that he also stole all of Park's money, along with his Buddha statue, she screams at Park to get the statue back instantly. The following day, while taking a stroll, Ju returns from the pawn shop, disappointed after learning that the statue isn't worth much. As he considers discarding it, his system screen suddenly suddenly pops up, auto-analyzes the statue, and informs Ju that there's a suspicious substance inside. Ju then takes out the relic knife and pries open the statue's base, causing a small vial half filled with liquid to fall out. He picks up the vial, recognizes its contents, and immediately calls the cops. Moments later, Jian and his partner barge into Kyung's office with Park in handcuffs and accuse her of distributing liquid Zaza. Kyung immediately tries to deny the allegations, but when Jian shows her the vial Ju found and says he knows about her secret warehouse stash, Kyung starts sweating. Just then, someone radios Jian, claiming they found several vials in her warehouse, so Jian arrests Kyung and has his officer take her away. Later that night, Jian texts Ju to expect his 10 million yen reward for exposing Park and his sister soon, so Ju decides to call it a day. Just then, he spots a tomb where his apartment used to be and rushes over in shock to confirm if it's real. While exploring the surroundings, he spots a blonde baddie from the CIA named Linda talking to her handler on the phone about bombing the tomb and hides to eavesdrop. After she hangs up, Linda spots her rival from another agency, Kenshi, standing before her and demands to know what he's doing there. From the way he responds, Ju realizes that the two bozos still don't know how to handle tombs, which is good news, and starts thinking of his next move. Suddenly, some red markings appear on the ground before him, which he immediately recognizes as the tomb glyphs that'll lead him to the tomb's entrance. So he follows them until he reaches a complex glyph circle. He then bends to read them, but then his system screen pops up again and unlocks the linguistics Tomb Raider skill for him, leaving just 2 more skills to unlock. After deciphering the circle glyph, Ju finds the tomb's entrance glyph lock and slashes it with the relic knife to activate it, causing a huge explosion that immediately alerts Kenshi and Linda. Realizing that the tomb's entrance has been opened, the duo run towards it and also jump in before it closes. Meanwhile, Ju navigates through the tunnels until he finds the Divine Lake. There, he drops the relic knife into the water, and within seconds, a huge monster snake surfaces. After locating him, the monster snake opens its mouth, revealing 2 relic knives, a gold one and a silver one inside, and asks Ju which one is his. Hearing this, Ju immediately recognizes this scenario as a test for the gold-silver axe relic, so he tells the snake that neither of them is his. Though impressed, the snake swallows the silver one, leaving the gold one, and asks Ju again if it's his. This time, Ju knows that if he says yes, he'll get both the silver and the gold knives and clear the tomb. However, since that's not what he truly wants, he moves closer to the snake's mouth, pretends to look at the gold knife, grabs it, and instantly slashes the snake's mouth. While groaning in pain, the snake asks why he's attacking it, and Ju says it's because he knows that passing the test would turn him into a deranged murderer. Shocked, the snake asks how he knows that, and Ju says he once read in the paper that the gold-silver axe turned its user into a serial murderer. At this, the snake attacks him, but Ju dodges by jumping into the air, then lands on the back of its head and stabs it with the gold knife. He then tells the snake to admit defeat. However, when it refuses, he drives the knife even deeper, expelling a huge burst of energy, and hangs onto the knife as the snake thrashes around the entire cave, desperately smashing its head into the walls to shake him off. Before long, the snake's body turns to water and emits a golden yellow light as it dies, and Ju acquires the dual-wielded gold-silver axe relic. Shortly after, he unlocks the Tomb Raider excavation skill and a title, but as he checks them out, he hears Kenshi and Linda coming and rushes to hide. Soon after, he spots Kenshi throwing his relic into the lake, expecting the monster snake to show up, but nothing happens. After Ju leaves, the tomb begins to collapse, causing Kenshi and Linda to run for their lives. The following day, while Park and his goons sulk in Kyung's office, Ju calls and offers to hire them to run a little errand for him. Meanwhile, Kenshi is on the phone with his shaman, complaining about failing to get the gold-silver relic axe, only for his shaman to tell him that a Japanese man beat them to it. Shocked, Kenshi lashes out at the shaman for not telling him earlier, but the shaman ignores him and warns him to be careful of the Japanese guy, as they fear he'll be the one to devour the world. Elsewhere, Ju tells Park and his goons to infiltrate an auction house in Vegas and find a man named Jack Kamen. When they refuse, he threatens to beat them to death, causing them to change their mind. The following day, as Ju is on the street, about to go relic hunting, he learns from a news report that someone deleted himself and recognizes this same thing happening just before a new tomb appeared. As he continues walking, he suddenly bumps into Kenshi, who gets pissed and recognizes him from the first tomb. As Kenshi crashes out, Ju senses his relic's aura shining from his coat and decides to take it. He pretends to walk away, but when Kenshi follows him, Ju purposely pours his drink on him and steals his relic while apologizing. Suddenly, an earthquake occurs, causing Ju to sense that a tomb is manifesting, so he leaves. Right after, Kenshi's shaman calls and tells him he just saw in a vision that the Japanese man is near him, but when Kenshi turns back, Ju is gone. Shortly after, the new tomb manifests with several broken blades protruding from the walls and a huge explosion. As the dust settles, Ju wakes to find several people already inside the tomb with him. He checks the broken blades protruding from the wall and concludes that the tomb's relic must belong to the Muramasa, a family of swordsmiths in ancient Japan, infamous for crafting exceptionally sharp blades that cut through people like butter. While calculating his next move, his system suddenly pops up, warning him that the relic's vicious aura is attacking his body, and Ju immediately spots a painful, corrosive wound on his right arm. To reduce his exposure to the deadly aura, he continues searching the tomb for the relic without any luck and regrets not following Kenshi earlier, as it would have helped him find the relic sooner. Just then, he spots a possessed female student clutching the broken relic and snarling at a group of people, while they're all trapped in a pit, and realizes that the relic's vicious aura is what's possessing her. Suddenly, a holographic bridge appears over the pit, and Ju calls out to them, describing Kenshi and asking if he was the one who trapped them there. Once they confirm that he was, Ju takes out the rope-shaped bracelet he stole from Kenshi earlier and unintentionally unlocks the last skill he needed, dexterity, automatically earning himself a special reward. He then jumps down the pit, immediately attracting the possessed girl's attention, and she attacks him fiercely. After dodging all her attacks, Ju counterattacks, but she dodges it. He then wraps the rope relic around her body, immediately snapping her out of her possessed trance and knocking her unconscious. Afterward, he asks the others if they know where Kenshi went, and one of them says he crossed the bridge. Just then the girl calls Ju, looking like a captured slave, and begs him to do something about her restraints. After calling the rope relic back to his hand, Ju promises to help the group find Kenshi so they can pay him back for leaving them to die. Meanwhile, Kenshi is crossing one of the holographic bridges when he suddenly spots the real tomb beneath him and glides down its walls to get to the bottom. There he begins searching for the Muramasa relic, only to find useless and broken blades. As he crashes out, the group from earlier suddenly runs up to him and beats him blue-black for trapping them in the pit. In the struggle, Kenshi spots Ju holding the gold-and-silver axe relic, smirking at him, and asks if he's behind this. Ju assures him that he is, then raises the golden axe high up and uses its power to scan the area, full of broken blades, to find the real Muramasa relic. When he spots it glowing with a purple aura, he uses his off-brand almighty push jutsu to capture the blade. Almost immediately, the Muramasa blade gives Ju a test to murder 10 people right there, so it'll use their blood to restore its broken form and unleash its true power. However, Ju refuses the test, clutches the blade with both hands, and uses his violent red aura to force the Muramasa relic to absorb all its copies scattered around them and return to its true form. Once the ritual is complete, Muramasa is reborn, leaving Kenshi shocked and pissed. Moments later, while the others slowly climb up the pit to safety, Ju spots Kenshi trying to sneak past them and stops him. To convince Ju to let him go, Kenshi tries to poach him into his team and even promises to talk to his government so they'll let him have the Book of Prophecies. When Ju says that only the owner can use the Book of Prophecies, Kenshi promises him that there's a company backing their government that can bypass that rule on demand. Curious, Ju asks Kenshi what the company name is, and Kenshi mentions the same company that screwed Ju over in his past life. Pissed, Ju kicks Kenshi hard in the stomach, causing him to cough up blood. Then he climbs up the pit and instructs the excavators to seal the tomb with Kenshi inside, which they do. Later that night, a news report airs, blaming the Japanese government for the incident Kenshi caused. After watching this terrible report, Japan's president summons his subordinate, Mori, into his conference room and lashes out at him for dragging Japan's image through the mud. As Mori's about to apologize, the president reminds him of his duties, so he swears on his mama that he'll track Ju down, especially now that they have the Book of Prophecies to make things much easier. Meanwhile, Ju is in his apartment in Korea, checking out his corrosion wounds and blaming himself for ignoring Muramasa's test and forcing it to submit through a dominance ritual. As he ransacks his brain cells for a solution to stop the spread, a system screen suddenly pops up, asking him to either choose the path of dominance or affinity before his earlier reward is granted. Unfazed, Ju chooses dominance, and the system grants him his reward. After searching all over his room with no luck, he finds the reward, a pill-shaped relic, in his pocket, and swallows it. Almost instantly, his body jerks awake, and to his shock, the corrosion wound disappears. While returning to bed, he realizes that the pill has granted him an ability to neutralize relic poison, and wonders what the crow relic gains from making things much easier for him. Just then, a system pop-up informs him that an S-rank relic has marked him and is reading his future. Ju knows the system is referring to the Book of Prophecies, so the next morning, he flies to Japan to investigate. Meanwhile, the Japanese owner of the Book of Prophecies, Sasaki, is busy watching anime at home when her assistant, Sosuke, suddenly reminds her it's time to read the book. Sasaki returns to her bedroom to continue reading the book, but while she complains that the characters are hard for her to read, she suddenly freaks out and tells Sosuke that she just read that she's going to die. A few hours later, after enjoying a piece of sushi at an inn, Ju checks his jotter, fully expecting the Japanese government to be tracking him down that instant, and wonders what they're waiting for. Outside, 3 Japanese undercover agents, currently hiding, turn to Sasaki, who's holding a food tray, and tell her to serve him his food slowly. Scared, Sasaki asks them why they're making her meet the man prophesied to murder her. and one of the agents says it's so the book can mark his face fully. After giving her extra reassurance, Sasaki shyly walks in to serve Ju, but when she spots his handsome face, her world goes white as her blood begins to gush into her brain. Upon realizing that she's the book's owner, given the pink aura covering her body, Ju grabs his sword. Seeing this, the spies behind the scenes instruct the agents outside to attack Ju, thinking he's about to attack Sasaki, but Sasaki closes the entrance door, shocking everyone, and presents her phone to Ju, clumsily asking if they can become friends. Despite being shocked, Ju accepts her IRL friend request. Then he blows the entrance door, ties up the three agents, and leaves with Sasaki. On the way to their first date, Ju rizzes Sasaki up with a head pat, leading her to believe that he's a simp she can easily control and manipulate. However, the moment they arrive at a cafe, Ju draws his sword on Sasaki, scaring her. Then, he destroys her phone and tells her that he knows she's the owner of the Book of Prophecies, leaving her in shock. Inside the cafe, Ju places his jotter on the table and tells Sasaki to copy what's written there into the Book of Prophecies. Pissed, Sasaki tells him the book is at her house, but Ju tells her she can summon it by touching the mark on her arm and saying the words Book of Prophecies. Shocked, Sasaki obeys him, and, to her surprise, the book appears. As she begins writing down the words in the jotter, Ju spots her slowing down on purpose and calls her out. Sasaki then lies, telling him that her arm hurts and that she'll willingly surrender the book if he lets her go, but Ju refuses. Seconds later, as she continues writing, Ju suddenly hears Mori and his soldiers trying to force their way into the cafe to capture them, and realizes that he's been discovered. With time running out, he draws his sword, sending the fear of God into Sasaki, and stabs the Book of Prophecies. Almost instantly, a violent burst of lightning fills the entire room, as the relic is consumed by demonic fire. Once the chaos subsides, Sasaki collapses, and Ju's skill levels increase even further. Suddenly, Mori barges into the room, alongside his soldiers. The moment he spots the charred Book of Prophecies, he threatens to shoot Ju. However, Ju throws him and his soldiers a pink C-grade consumable rice cake relic and leaves them so intoxicated by the relic's aroma that they go crazy and fight each other for it. A few hours later, while Ju flies to Las Vegas, he reads out a few texts from his jotter and concludes that he needs to get to the secret Midas auction house in Vegas, where a highly important relic will be put on sale, to find the person he's been wanting to meet all this while. Upon landing, Ju meets with Park's associate, Seung Woo, and learns that they found an auction participant with the initials JK, which is Taejun's fake identity. Satisfied, he checks the relic catalog for the auction, discovers that none of the relics up for sale are S-rank, and begins to wonder what the prophecy was saying earlier. Just then, Seung Woo reminds him that starting bids begin at $1 million. Despite being a brokey like y'all watching, Ju tells them they'll be going on a gambling spree to make some quick cash. Elsewhere, Ju garners lots of attention at a casino after hitting the jackpot on every slot machine. Once he's done, a guard walks up to him and pats him down. While doing so, he spots the golden pocket knife on Ju's and asks him about it. Deep down, Ju knows it's the golden axe relic, which he used to filter out machines that were about to hit the jackpot, but he lies that it's a souvenir, and the guard lets him go. Seconds later, Siwoo strolls in, and Ju immediately recognizes the useless scumbag as Taejun's right-hand man. As he scornfully looks at the idiot, Taejun also waltzes in, causing Ju to recall his death scene from his past life and swear revenge against the scoundrel. Just then, Seungwoo shows up with the others, complaining about Ju's bag shaking violently. Curious, Ju opens it and finds the silver axe relic shaking violently as it warns him of an impending danger. Not long after, he notices the entire casino slowly getting chaotic as several terrible things happen to several people at once. While he wonders what happened, a rich blonde baddie named Irene walks into the room, leaving him in shock. While the others melt at her gaze, Ju reveals that in the future, she was a god relic holder, nicknamed the Queen of Bankruptcy, and was infamous for bringing terrible luck and ruin to anyone close to her. Nervous, Ju tries to walk away from her, but Irene notices him and chases after him. When Ju tries to open the door, he gets electrocuted, causing him to stop. Suddenly, Irene catches up to him and asks for his help. Once Ju realizes his relics are taking damage because of her, he pushes her away, shocking everyone. After confirming that he's the same person who hit the jackpot dozens of times, Irene asks Ju to tell her his secret, but Ju politely refuses. At this, Seungwoo silently crashes out at him for rejecting a 10/10 baddie. Then he approaches Irene and tries to rizz her on Ju's behalf. As the idiot fumbles his words, they all get hit with Irene's bad luck sickness. Seeing this, Ju immediately tries to escape, but then he slams his face into the wall and injures his nose. After Irene walks up to him, he blames her for causing all of this, but Irene simply smiles, admits that she knows she brings bad luck to everyone around her, and tells Ju she plans to change that by uncovering the secret behind his incredible luck. At first, Ju is convinced she's just trying to trick him. However, as she continues talking, his sister system informs him that the pill he took earlier is causing his tolerance of relic curses to increase exponentially whenever Irene is nearby. Seeing this, Ju figures that being near Irene is helping him, so he welcomes her idea warmly, tells her he has a private auction coming up, and convinces her to accompany him, so she'll affect the other bidders with her bad luck plague. As the auction begins, Ju realizes Irene doesn't know anything about relics and wonders if she was corrupted by the relic that turned her into an evil queen of plague. Just then, Irene thanks him for listening to her woes and accepting her proposal. But right after Ju responds, a huge earthquake hits the entire building. From the information displayed by his system, Ju realizes that everyone's misfortune grows stronger the happier Irene is, so he trash talks her a little bit to reduce her dopamine levels, and the earthquake stops. Right after, the auction begins, but when Ju notices the other bidders crashing out at each other, thanks to Irene's bad luck, he sweet talks her to get her even happier, causing the entire auction to get even more chaotic. Over the next few bids, Ju buys some pretty useful relics until the host rolls in a surprise item that shocks Ju and Taejun, the Tree of Eternal Life. Before the bidding war begins, Ju reveals that in his past life, when the relic poison nearly destroyed him, Taejun knew the fruit of the Eternal Life Tree was the only cure, so he used it to blackmail Ju into doing his dirty work. To avoid facing that terrible fate again, Ju swears to do whatever it takes to win the bid. As the auction begins, the host introduces the tree as organic Viagra, leading several 2-second men bidders to bid aggressively. Just then, Taejun raises the stakes by bidding $10 million, but when the other bidders raise the price to $50 million, Ju starts shaking. Soon after, Taejun raises the price to $100 million. But just as the host is about to close the bid, Ju makes Irene raise the price to $150 million, shocking everybody. Pissed, Taejun raises the bid to $160 million. However, since Irene's basically a third-generation chaebol with unlimited money, she keeps raising the bid until Siwoo stops his boss from betting their entire company's net worth on a single item. After the auction, Ju thanks Irene for helping him close the final deal while they wait to receive their items. Irene says it's no big deal as long as he shares some of his luck with her, but Ju tells her that all she needs to do is give him an item or relic that she always carries, and the misfortune should go away. When Irene says she has no such thing, he asks whether she's noticed a strange tattoo appearing on her body recently, since that could be a sign of a possessive tattoo. In response, she shows him a few photos of a huge, bizarre tattoo covering her abdomen, and Ju immediately recognizes it as a parasitic relic that can't be easily separated from its host. To avoid going back on his promise, he gives Irene his business card, so they can work together to find a solution later. Just then, the receptionist shows up with the tree and the other items Ju bought, and asks if he needs help carrying anything. Ju tells him not to worry, claiming he has people who can help with that. However, when he tries to reach Sungwoo and the others, no one picks up. Meanwhile, Sungwoo and his goons try to run away with the rest of Ju's money, but as they stop to catch their breath, Ju's silver axe relic hits the wall behind them, sending shivers down their spines. Immediately after, Ju arrives with a rock relic in his hand, called the Code of Hammurabi, and invokes its power, which reflects the enemy's actions back to them. He uses this power to restrain Sungwoo and the other two, then releases them, and promises that the power will tear them to pieces if they try to betray him again. Scared for their lives, the trio promises not to, so Ju takes them back to his apartment and forces them to massage the annoying Tree of Eternal Life, currently writhing and complaining on his floor. As the tree calmly succumbs to their touch, Ju receives a call from Taejun. Once he picks up, Taejun offers to buy the Tree of Life from him, but Ju refuses and hangs up immediately. After the call, Siwoo walks up to Taejun and promises to steal the tree if Taejun grants him access to the company relics, and Taejun agrees. Later that day, while Ju enjoys himself at a bar, Siwoo shows up, looking pissed, and tries to introduce himself, but Ju intentionally ignores him to rile him up. When Siwoo starts shouting, he punches him in the stomach and pretends he's just hearing him for the first time. He then asks Siwoo where they met, but when Siwoo says they met at the Midas auction, Ju calls him Taejun's doormat, forcing Siwoo to lose his composure and his dominance over his hidden relic. Seeing this, Ju accuses Taejun of being a simp who can't get it up for action. Boiling with rage, Siwoo takes out his relic, a small glass flask half filled with the infamous zombie powder, and tries to sprinkle some on Ju, but it doesn't work. At this, Ju slams the idiot's nose on the table, breaking it. Then, he calls Siwoo dumb for trying to use a relic with weakened dominance, takes the flask for himself, forces it to submit to him, and sprays the powder on his back, turning him into a mindless zombie briefly. The next day, when Taejun learns about Siwoo's state, He gets pissed and orders his men to bring back the company relic he took with him, but they tell him Siwoo had nothing on him when he was arrested. Pissed, Taejun orders them to summon their top lawyer, Ms. Lee, so they can change tactics, and they get to work. A few days later, as Ju and his lackeys are at their home country's airport, Ju recalls all the relics he's collected on this trip and praises himself for a job well done. Just then, Ms. Lee shows up, invites Ju to a cafe in the airport, and tries to make him sign a slave contract with Taejun's company, so Ju will have no choice but to work for them. When he refuses, she threatens that Taejun will destroy his life, but Ju takes out the flask he stole from Siwoo and threatens to make her disappear. Unfazed, Lee says he won't want to risk using it in front of everyone, but as Ju opens the flask, she jumps off her chair and attacks him with a water lightning relic. With time running out, Ju invokes the Code of Hammurabi and ends up knocking Lee out with her own water attack, causing a scene. After leaving the scene, Ju suddenly hears the Raven's voice, warning him of impending danger, and immediately starts freaking out when the Raven tries to order him around. Before long, Taejun approaches Ju and his lackeys himself. Seeing this, Seungwoo shyly tries to introduce himself, but Taejun electrocutes all three of them except Ju, using just his voice, leaving Ju shocked. After a brief silence, Ju takes out one of his relic knives, holds Taejun hostage, and threatens to cut off his head if he doesn't stop using dominance on his boys. Unfazed, Taejun ignores him and continues electrocuting them, but then he suddenly loses control of his power and wonders why his relic isn't teleporting them into another dimension. At this, Ju reveals two S-rank ticket relics he just stole from Taejun, which shocks Taejun himself, and soon learns that his dominance isn't strong enough to seize control of the relics yet. Even so, Taejun switches relics to a parasitic one and amps up its power, so he can take control of Ju and the others. As Ju wonders where the relic is on his body, a mini earthquake happens, but Taejun ignores it and focuses on subduing Ju and the others. Halfway through, the crow suddenly appears and warns Taejun to stop using his power, so he won't awaken the vile jackal and the dog relics. Hearing this, Taejun ignores the warning, increases his subjugation power, and tells the crow he'll dominate it after he's done with Ju. Eventually, the crow disappears, the sky turns red, and a high-magnitude earthquake hits the entire airport, forcing Taejun to stop using his power. Within seconds, the Sphinx and a pyramid from Egypt surface from the ground. Seeing them, Ju immediately realizes that the Great Entombment is beginning. He tells his scared boys that they're now trapped because of Taejun, but as Taejun freaks out, he tells everyone that countless relics like these are also appearing in every location over the world. Just then, one of the Egyptian relics, Set, pops up out of nowhere, and Ju recognizes it as the god of destruction and evil. Next, Anubis pops up wearing a golden necklace with an embedded green crystal, and Ju explains that while Anubis is the god of funeral rites, the necklace he's wearing is Osiris, the god of the afterlife and fertility. Soon after, Set smells something fishy in the air and suddenly starts crashing out at everyone, including Anubis, claiming that they need to destroy the worms in front of them. Hearing this, Ju immediately invokes the Code of Hammurabi relic and challenges the three divine relics to a fight. Seeing this, Set crashes out at Ju for underestimating them, then he attacks Ju with a bright beam of light. Thanks to the Hammurabi relic, Ju sends the attack back to Set and Anubis. After surviving the returned attack, Set tells Anubis that the crow is backing Ju, but Anubis doesn't believe him because the crow has already been sealed away. As Set crashes out at him, Anubis teleports Ju to an alternate dimension and places him on a scale with a feather on the other balance to begin his trial. Noticing Ju's confusion, Anubis appears before him, jacked with roid rage, and tells Ju that he's currently on the scale of judgment, which will decide his fate. Upon hearing this, Ju remembers learning from the owner of the relic in the past that this trial consists of questions, and that all he needs to do to pass it is to answer yes to every question asked. As the trial begins, Anubis warns Ju not to lie in this trial, or he will pay dearly. For the first question, he asks Ju if he's ever stolen something before, and Ju immediately starts fidgeting because he knows he can't lie. Anubis figures out his answer for him, then he asks Ju two more incriminating questions. As Ju struggles to answer them, Anubis concludes that Ju has lived a bad life, so he grabs Ju and throws him into hell via a portal. Upon crash landing, Ju spots a horde of zombies approaching him, so he grabs a bone nearby and smashes his way through the entire horde. Before long, one of the undead overpowers him, but just as it's about to eat him up, the crow appears from a golden light, aura farming through each step, and wipes out the entire horde in an instant. After that, he destroys the sphere of judgment, returns Ju to the real world, and appears beside him. Seeing the crow, Set realizes he was right all along, but just then, Anubis appears beside him, looking like he just ran a marathon. At this, Set accuses the crow of teaming up with the humans to destroy their kind and then stealing their powers for itself. To get revenge, he summons a small army of giant mummies from the underworld into the room to destroy Ju. Seeing this, the crow tells Ju it can't help him here, but Ju says he doesn't need its help. Then he draws the Murasama blade relic and spends the next few minutes slicing through the mummies' heads like hot knife through butter. At one point, he drops the Murasama, switches to Park's Egyptian embalmer knife relic, which immediately senses the energy of its homeland, and tells it to show him where Anubis and Set are currently hiding in the room. Once the relic agrees, Ju continues slicing through the countless mummies for several minutes until he finally spots Set, Osiris, and Anubis disguised as mummies and hiding at the rear of the army, trying to retreat. To prevent that, Ju jumps to the back of the line and cuts all 3 mummies, exposing their true form. Then, he tells Anubis, now taking the form of a cross, that they'll be starting the trial again. Left with no choice, Anubis returns Ju to the scale of judgment in the other dimension. Only this time, Ju strangles Anubis and tells him the exact question to ask. When Anubis refuses, Ju continues choking him until he submits. Then he lets Anubis go, kicks him around a little bit, and answers the first question honestly. As Ju's about to name the second question, Anubis disrespects him, voiding the entire trial. Before long, the sphere of judgment disappears, and Ju returns to reality with the Anubis relic in his possession. As he explores his new titles and abilities, Taejun approaches him, apologizes for being violent earlier, and asks Ju to work under his company. But to everyone's surprise, Ju slices Taejun's head clean off. Immediately after, Taejun chuckles as his head reattaches to his body and tells Ju that he just used the body of Achilles' relic to reattach his head. Upon recalling Achilles' story, Ju figures Taejun must have a weakness somewhere around his body. With his head now restored, Taejun asks Ju if he'll reconsider his offer, but Ju clenches his Muramasa blade, forces an insane amount of power into it, and slashes Taejun multiple times over his body until the sword snaps. At this point, Taejun loses control over his attack relic power and fires a purple plasma beam at Ju. Ju immediately summons the Hammurabi Code relic and tries using it to absorb the attack. However, when he notices the tablet cracking under the overwhelming power, he fires Taejun's attack back at him, blowing up the entire airport. In the aftermath, Ju spots Taejun sitting against the wall, unconscious and bleeding all over. So, he walks over, realizes that Taejun's relic is still keeping him alive, and tries to destroy him using whatever's left of Muramasa. When that doesn't work, Ju realizes that his sword, as well as Taejun's Achilles and King of Conquest relics, have been destroyed for now. With this, he visits Irene and asks her to help him find a dude named Yanagi, but she tells him Yanagi is dead. Noticing Ju's shock, Irene Yanagi sold her elder brother a forged art piece in the past and tried to run away, but during the car chase between her brother and him, Yanagi's car broke through a guardrail and fell off a cliff. Hearing this, Ju reveals that Yanagi is a punk he knew in his past life who possesses a restorer relic and can restore damaged relics to their original state. As he's about to believe Irene, Ju suddenly remembers that he and Yanagi met 5 years later in his former life, which means Yanagi can't truly be dead. Later that night, at the hospital, Taejun listens to the evening news connecting the airport bombing to the strange tomb that appeared moments earlier and vents his frustration on his associates sitting beside his bed. Once he calms down, his subordinate, Edward, asks Taejun how Ju could possibly inflict so much damage on him despite possessing the immortality relic. When Taejun cowers in embarrassment, Edward urges him to calm down and promises to find a relic restorer to repair his broken relics. That said, he trolls Taejun a little bit more, then heads out of the ward and calls Yanagi. Upon joking around for a bit, Edward tells Yanagi that he has a new client for him, and Yanagi thanks him for the help. The next day, Ju visits an art gallery with his goons and boldly tells the receptionist that he wants to restore some relics. When the receptionist plays dumb, Sungwoo crashes out and tries to force her into helping them. While Ju scolds him, the receptionist peeks into their duffel bag and gasps in shock at the many S-rank relics inside. Noticing her reaction, Ju begs the receptionist, even promising to keep quiet, to help him repair his relics. At this point, the receptionist goes to the staff-only backrooms, calls Yanagi, and tells him that she's found some idiots with plenty of godlike relics they can rob. After receiving Yanagi's permission, she returns outside and politely asks Ju if she can take the relics to the backrooms to check their condition. Once Ju agrees, she takes the relics directly to Yanagi's office out back. Upon seeing them, Yanagi foams at the mouth and urges her to stall Ju and his peeps while he works on the relics. While she's away, the fraudster takes out his B-rank duplication relic and uses it to duplicate each of Ju's relics so he can keep the original and give Ju the fakes. relics, which will only last half a day before fading away. Once he's done, the receptionist returns Ju's relics to him, claiming they're damaged beyond restoration. However, Ju checks them, notices the foul play, jumps over the desk, and runs to Yanagi's room. There, he ties Yanagi up with his rope relic and tells the punk that he'll only let him go if he makes a deal with him, but Yanagi instantly rejects his offer. Feeling sorry for him, Ju reveals that Yanagi was a promising young artist who received a full scholarship from an Ivy League university, but unfortunately for him, his teacher, Richard, stole the technique he spent years perfecting as his own, branded Yanagi a plagiarist, and had him ousted from the art world. At the lowest point of his life, Yanagi came across the Restorer relic and started working as a scammer. That said, Ju tries to be patient with the jerk, but when Yanagi insults him, he snaps, unveils Shakespeare's adolescent pen relic, which turns anything written with it into reality, and commands Yanagi's schlong to lose one ball. After torturing the idiot, Ju writes up a contract, explains its terms to Yanagi, and urges him to sign it, but Yanagi says he can't because he's already contracted with Taejun. Hearing this, Ju realizes that Taejun already knows about restorers, but deep down, he knows he has to win Yanagi's trust if he wants him to work on god-grade relics. To achieve this, Ju sits before Yanagi, introduces himself as the leader of an excavation team, and urges Yanagi to do the same. When Yanagi refuses to share his personal information, Ju narrates his entire life history and intentionally mentions him stealing Richard's work. Pissed, Yanagi swings at Ju, claiming Richard copied him. After Ju blocks his attack, Yanagi explains that it was as if Richard read his mind and stole his idea before he even painted it, which strikes Ju as odd. He tells Yanagi that it's possible Richard used a relic to copy his abilities, and Yanagi asks if he's absolutely sure. After reassuring him, Ju promises Yanagi that he'll recover his painting technique and restore his reputation if he becomes his exclusive restorer. However, rather than responding, Yanagi heads out of the room and runs straight to Taejun's office. There, he tells Taejun about Richard's crime and promises to take the exclusive restoration job if he takes that relic from Richard. Hearing this, Taejun chuckles, calls Richard on loudspeaker, and has Richard threaten to delete Yanagi if he ever tries to expose him again. After hanging up, Taejun tells Yanagi that he and Richard are close friends, so he can't betray him like that. That said, he has one of his bodyguards punch Yanagi in the face just to give him a taste of what's coming. Thankfully, as they're about to really mess him up, Ju barges into the office and knocks Taejun's guards out.